Welcome to the Mr. Ray and Cory Show. Now, here are your hosts, Mr. Ray and Cory Adams. So, I am your host, Cory Adams. Mr. Ray is a little bit under the weather tonight. I haven't heard from him. I do know he's not feeling well. So, I am going solo tonight. So, welcome. This is actually the first Mr. Ray and Cory Show that's actually going to be video. Usually our podcast is audio, but this is the first one to be video. So we have a very special guest with us today. Let's welcome Jose Garcia, formerly known as Jose Perez. How you doing, Jose?
What's going on, man?
Not much. Good. Got vaccinated today, so I'm ready to go.
Oh yeah? Let me know if it's tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm hoping I don't get any of the reactions because my dad didn't get them, so I'm hoping I'm in the same boat as that.
Tomorrow you'll be a woman.
Yeah, actually, Bulldog Blansky goes,
bro, you're a woman.
I don't know if, I'm not sure if you remember Seven, right? Seven Leonard?
Yeah.
Me and Seven do, I'm not sure if you've seen the Bike Club thing we've been doing, the vampire. So, Bulldog just commented on my post, he goes, "You're a vampire, why do you need to be vaccinated?"
Good point. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, I can see that.
So how you feeling? You had XWA Throwdown last night, so how'd that go?
It went well. I thought Thursday nights are really fun. It's a good opportunity for a lot of young cats to come out and work on the new stuff, get seen a little bit, considering everything that's going on. But it was a good time. It was a good time, especially coming off of last Saturday doing the pay-per-view. So
yeah, how did that go?
Pay-per-view was amazing. It was our first pay-per-view that we've done in well over a year. We were just rocking. The place was packed. Everybody I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be prouder with everybody because they were just nonstop. It was just great. The crowd ended off the hook. It was just nuts. Yeah,
I was gonna watch it, but we had COVID, and I couldn't even keep my eyes open. So I'm like. And I don't know how Fight TV works sometimes, because one time, I think it was the Punk fight, we ordered it on Fight TV, and we paused it for a second. We had food on the grill, so I paused it, went to go grab the food off the grill, started over, or hit, resume, and all of a sudden it's on, the next fight, and we couldn't go back or anything, so I didn't want to,
Oh, jeez.
So I didn't want to have that happen again if I fell asleep, so.
Yeah, let's show that. Oh, here we go. You all going to start? They're not interviewing you. Stop. It's not about you. Cut it out. Anyway.
So the first thing I want to get into is I remember your wrestling days. So how did you? Because I've never seen a lot of interviews with you. So how did you get into wrestling? When did you start training, and where did you train? Because I remember you from the DPW days and the PGW days.
Oh yeah. Well, I really didn't do a lot of podcasting and stuff like that. When I wrestled, there really wasn't a lot of it going on, to be honest with you. So it really wasn't a lot that I could actually get out there and do, and it really wasn't something I was really dramatically concerned of. But when I came around the time of DPW and Power and Glory and that stuff, I was already probably 3/4 into my career per se. But when I started in 1992. I stand corrected. I stand corrected. 93 because my very first match technically was on the day of my son's birth. So, which is funny because he was born, then I went right to a show. That goes to show you how it was. I started like a lot of guys, man. I was like a backyard thing. I wrestled for a company called Power League Wrestling. It was literally inside of like a 4x4 type box, But I always loved wrestling for the longest I can remember, and I had the opportunity. A friend of mine was wrestling there, and I was like, oh yeah, let me come down and just started horsing around. I'm like, oh, I want to do this more. I remember being in school. And I was like, in middle school, I was like, I'm going to go to high school. I was like, I'll be wrestling there. This is great. Get to high school and whatnot. I get in and sign up for wrestling. I show up to the first practice, and there's no ring. mats. It smelled like sweat socks. And I realized I was in collegiate high school type freestyle wrestling, and I was like, it's not what I signed up for. But in retrospect, I'm actually glad it actually happened that way. I was able to get a really strong fundamental of being able to work with a team, and it gave me a good basis of what I want to really do. So once I figured that aspect of it out, I added a little jujitsu and karate into that. So once I got out of high school is when I was like, oh, I want to do some more wrestling. This is what I really want to do, is more wrestling. That's how I found it. I didn't get formally trained until probably 4 years in, per se, with a old veteran named Savannah Souza, based out of Fall River at the time. But I had trained with those guys at Power League until I moved over to NEWA, and they were like our local public access show that, in retrospect, they're probably still considered probably the first indie thing that I would have known of, and then I just jumped into that situation. That's pretty much how I started.
Yeah, it's funny because I was just saying this. I say this on a lot of interviews when I'm talking to people. I actually didn't know indie wrestling.
I'm gonna have my wife sit in on an interview with us. She knows most of my stuff. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I actually didn't even realize nothing about indie wrestling until about 2003, my junior year in high school.
Oof. When I was wrestling for NEWA, I was like, so I was in Power League, and NEWA was on a local public access TV, and I was like, oh, I gotta go there. So for me, it was like Power League, then it was them, and then it was like, WWE. That's all I knew. No, that wasn't the case. Again, this is the early 90s, so internet was really not a huge thing per se.
Yeah.
So for me, it was once I got there, and then I found out there was other feds in our area that was there. So it was just a progression of like, well, then I want to do more. So I was wrestling for them, and I found my way up to Salisbury, Massachusetts at Champs Arena, and I got to train up there with a bunch of the guys. I had the pleasure of training with John Cronus and Perry Saturn, the Eliminators. It just came back from Japan, so I got to spend a weekend with them, training with them, and it was just an ongoing thing. I would try to learn from anybody and anywhere, Tito Santana, the Nasty Boys, anywhere I can get an opportunity to work with and train with and learn something. That's where I learned. So in the beginning, I was kind of self-trained, and then I just applied it more when I got a little more into it, per se, shall we say.
Yeah. And how did, because this is one thing I remember about you, how did the chops come about?
It wasn't that it really came about. I was, so for me, I was always known to be heavy-handed, and I worked tight.
Yeah.
For the believability aspect of it, that's what I was. I just worked tight. The chops just came natural to me. It was like I was always a big Ric Flair fan, so I was like, I definitely have to chop. There's no way around that. I had to chop. I think for me, it had to be when I really started getting let's say a name for the chop. In the area, is one of the hardest at that time. One of the hardest hitting guys when it came to chops. Is when I started getting involved with Rick Fuller. Rick Fuller was a very tall, very big man. He had a small stint with WCW at the time. But out here was the lumberjack Rick Fuller, and he was notorious for having the worst chops in New England. Like, guys, when they worked them, they knew if you were gonna chop, if you work at Fuller, you had to be prepared for what was coming. And Rick Fuller was the type of guy that he would chop you, and it was usually a concession of 2 or 3 chops, and it led into whatever was next. But the ongoing joke was that if he didn't like you, you would get anywhere from 2 to 5. So I had the pleasure of working with him at a show in Uxbridge, Mass. And I walk into the locker room, and the promoter's like, "Hey, listen," he pulls me aside like I thought I was in trouble. And he's like, "Hey, listen, somebody didn't show, and I need you to work Rick Fuller tonight." It was the first time working Ricky. And I'm like, "Sure, why not? Hey, it's an opportunity to work. It's great, let's go." He's like, "Are you okay with that?" Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's it's not like it was a stranger to me. I didn't know. I just never wrestled him yet.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was doing I was wrestling as a El Diablo, so I was under a mask. I wrestled under a mask for like 6 years. So I was like, yeah, man, whatever you need me to do, hey, I'm down. So we go over our stuff, and match comes out, and this is in front of, man, I don't know, 1,500 or something like that. It was a big show. And we go off the match, and Rick Fuller's out there, and we progress, and it's I'm 6 feet tall, and Rick is still probably a foot taller, and looks like a foot taller than me. He's just a really big guy. We proceed to have our match, and then he throws a line, and I duck, and in my head, I thought it was a great idea. The rest of me thought it was a really bad idea. So I duck and I spin him around. And Rick Fuller used to use one of the names of the Lumberjacks. Who used to wear a flannel shirt.
Okay.
So he'd have his, he'd have like jean type shorts. His singlet with a flannel shirt. And I thought it would be a great idea for me when I ducked that line would be to, slap that shirt open and keel back with the hardest and fastest chop I can possibly do in my life. And that's what I did. It went off. It was like, bow, nice, big, and loud. And it was at that moment I knew I fucked up because Rick no-sold it and looked at me like, I'm going to kill you. He grabs me by the back, by the side of my head, and literally throws me 3/4 of the way to the ring to the corner. And comes up on me, and I know what's coming because this is how he always sets up. He comes over and gives me a huge knife edge, and now people love it, and I'm verge of tears. And he pulls my head back, he opens me up, and he sets his hand up nice and wide. He gives me a forearm. He's like, all right, kid, let's go, let's go home. And that was it. So we go in the back, and the promoter's like, Jose, you all right? I'm like, great. He's like, yo, it's like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm fine. He's like, oh man, I don't know how Rick's gonna handle this. Nobody ever, at that point, nobody ever chopped Rick's. Never ever chopped Rick. All of a sudden, comes Rick through the corner. He's like, you, come here. I'm like, what's up? He's like, he looks at me, he's like, it's about fucking time. Nobody ever chops me. God damn it. That was a nice chop. Good job, man. Can't wait to work again. And that was it. And ever since then, I was just notorious for, I was like, if I got that one on him and it went over, I said, I'm going to just keep doing it. So it got to the point where it became a natural progression of people would like get him in the corner. It got to the point where when he got out of it, people telling me were joking was like, all right, no, if I was on the show, they wouldn't throw chops on the show.
Yeah.
So it was like that. It was that weird to me at one point where it's like, all right, guys, Jose's on the show, so nobody's throwing chops tonight. It was just that type of weird. And then it became the joke. It was like, all right, well, if you're going to wrestle Jose, you got to chop him first. So it was weird, but it played out. But it was fun after all this time. Even after all this time, I still get that whole, just let's do the chop thing. So it was an interesting play when it comes to that.
And actually, a funny story. I'm not sure if you ever heard this one. Remember CCW, Joe LaChance?
Yes.
So you weren't. I don't think you were on this show. It's when I was helping. It was like what I was saying before. When I was helping out, like with the ring and handing out T-shirts and doing all that kind of stuff. One of my friends, he was a martial artist, and he was bragging about chops. And they're like, and they would tell him about your chops. He goes, "No, my chops are hard." He goes, "I don't wrestle, but." So they're like, "Prove it," and they look at me, and I'm like, "Oh no." He chopped me so hard, like I don't. Still, like I think, like, I mean, I've never been chopped by you, but and all the boys were like, they're like not as bad as Jose, but pretty close.
I've left marks on people that lasted a week. I've had people draw blood from it. It really depends on the type of day there was.
Yeah.
I was very heavy-handed when it came to that. It was at that point. Later on, it got to the point where it was like that was one of my things. So it's like if you're gonna get chopped on me, it was gonna be remembered. You're gonna know it, and I wanted everybody else to feel it and understand it. It wasn't I was trying to be a dick about it, because I wasn't going out there like chopping 300 or 400 times though, but I made sure that they were loud and poignant.
Yeah, and with that brings me to PGW. I'm gonna get a little ahead of here, but I just cannot wait to talk about this one. So Joey Brico, you and Joey Brico at PGW. I remember before. I don't like I said before. I don't think you were in the building yet, and he comes out with this big foam thing, and they're just like taping it to his chest. Mm-hmm. Did that when you found that out? Did that like piss you off a little bit? Like, okay, now I'm really gonna chop him harder, or
no, that didn't piss me off at all. I thought that was amazing. It was amazing. So the way it was brought to my attention, from my understanding, was when he was told that he was gonna wrestle me. It wasn't that he said no, but it wasn't like he was happy about it. So his thought would be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do this. So when I found out they were doing it, I was completely fine with it. Like, it's a gimmick, great. Let's roll with it. I'll have fun with that. I still managed to work with it and play with it, and it was kind of on the lines of like D'Lo Brown when D'Lo Brown did the
chest protector.
So it got a big ha. I believe I ended up chopping him in the back. I think I ended up chopping him in the back because it came from the front.
I think you chopped him in the back, and I think you guys made your way over to like I don't want to call it a bar. I think it was like a bar area. I think at that point you in the match, if I remember right, you had ripped it off him.
Yeah, I think I threw him like a garbage can or something like that. Yeah, it was funny. We literally was just talking about that a few weeks ago. It was one of those weird moments. We just had fun with it and whatnot. But I think in the back of a lot of people's mind, I think Joey really didn't want to do that at all. I really think he was nervous about that. And I'll wrestle pretty much anybody. And I don't care what style they have. So I'm decent with getting in there and just mixing up with anybody that I need to mix it up with. I think for him, I think he probably felt that, that I might try to hurt him, and it wasn't the case. But when he ever came out with that and the crowd popped for it, I was all about it. I love funny haha type stuff like that. I think it's great.
Yeah. And how did you I know you're from Rhode Island, right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So from there and training in Fall River, how'd you make your way over to Connecticut? Was it DPW the first one, or how did that all come about?
It was just a transition. When you start wrestling, you just can't help but start branching out, and then at one point you'll be in the locker room with the boys, and the boys were like, "Hey, why don't you come down here?" So again, at that time, internet was very infantile, so it was really word of mouth and opportunities that would arise. I believe for me, my first stint in Connecticut, I think was with Joe LaChance at CCW. I'm trying to remember back because DPW came later. I'm trying to remember how that went down.
That's all like a fog to me. Like the CCW, DPW, it's like all rolls together with me, so I forget what's first. And
DPW and Power and Glory were kind of roughly around the same time frame.
Yeah.
CCW was before that because I remember wrestling in the Shriners Auditorium. So that was my transition there was in that aspect of it. That's really interesting because it's kind of fogging to me. I'm trying to remember how that actually played out. I might have to call a lifeline on that one. I might have to call a lifeline on that one because that's kind of interesting because I know DPW and Power and Glory were on the same time because it was kind of like heat but not heat. I don't know. It was just one of those type of things, and I just wrestled for pretty much anybody at that time. But then at some point I ended up doing more with DPW because it was more my
because I think that's the first time because even though I helped out with CCW, I think DPW was the first time I actually met you. Right. I was on Mike's ring crew at the time.
Yeah, it was me and Mike had an interesting relationship. Were you in Naugatuck?
Yeah. Actually, I remember that the two things I remember about Naugatuck was there was one match, and this might have been the same show, I can't remember. There was one match, it was Jamie, Velvet Sky, and she was wrestling, I think, Mercedes Martinez.
Okay.
And that's the show where they were wrestling all over, and they went outside, and they were yelling on to get back in the building because, like, the cops were across the street or something.
Yeah. I think that was like a legit fight.
There's that, and then The other one I remember about Naugatuck was I was on the ring crew, and you guys were all in a meet. I can't remember if you were there. You guys were all in a meeting, and everyone's like, "Don't bother Mike. He's going into the meeting with the boys, this and that." So like, okay. And Abel Graves was moving the ring truck, and there was like a little Honda. I think it was like a Honda or Toyota. I think it was a Honda Civic or something. And he got the ring truck caught between the building and the car, and he couldn't move it out. And he goes, "You gotta go tell Mike that we gotta find out whose car this is." And now I'm just on the ring crew. I'm just breaking in. I'm just on the ring. And I'm like, "You want me to go down?" I'm like, "You've been around here. You want me to go down there and interrupt Mike?" He's like, "Yes."
Yeah, good job with that.
Yeah, so I had to go do it. And I remember everyone just so silent. And Mike, Mike, he's just sitting there, was sitting like this. He goes, "What?" Tell him what happened. He goes this little head thing, if you remember. And he's like, "Abel." He goes, "Abel hit a car?" I'm like, "No." And he goes, I'm like, "No, almost." He goes, "Does anyone own this piece of shit Honda?" And then no one said anything, and he goes, "All right, whatever." And I don't remember what happened after. I think he got the truck out, but those are my two Naugatuck memories.
That sounds like Abel. For me, my fondest memory for Naugatuck was working the show, and I didn't have a match on the show. It just came down, and Mike was like, "I'm sorry." I said, "I'll do something. Let's do something." I said, "No, listen, I'm fine. We can do something. Just set something up." He said, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "All right, listen. During intermission, just."
Oh, I remember this. Go ahead. I remember this.
Mike, and we just roll with it. He said, "What do you just roll?" And I think I was quoted in saying like 59 "fuck you, Mikes" during that promo. It was literally like, "Fuck you, Mike. You had me come up here for nothing." And I was like, "What the fuck?" and this and that, and nobody had no idea what was going on. It was literally just shot between me and him. So it was like the boys were like, "What the fuck is going on? Like, why is Jose flipping the fuck out?"
Yeah, that's the one where you came out of the crowd, right?
Yeah, I just came I came through the front door.
Yeah.
And then like everybody was like, "What the hell's going on?" And Mike was like, "Jose, there's no reason for this bullshit." I'm like, "Fuck you, Mike. This is a bunch of bullshit. Have me come up here for fucking nothing. This is a bunch of bullshit." I think it was like 57 or 59 times I said "fuck you" to Mike within like a 15-minute, bullshit. Like it just completely threw everything off, and nobody knew what was going on. They were like trying to get me out of the crowd, get me back downstairs in one line. And I had people, I think it was Ron Zombie or something like that. It was like, "Jose, what the fuck is wrong with you?" And I'm laughing at his face. And Mike was walking in, and Mike's like, he goes, "That was great. That was great." And Zombie's like, "The fuck did I miss? Did I miss the demo?" I'm like, and it was like no direction to it. It was just spontaneous, just square fest between the two of them. It was great. It was just one of those random moments.
I wasn't sure if that was Naugatuck, so yeah, I remember that.
That was Naugatuck.
And then I remember your retirement match. Like, I don't remember the match itself, but I remember your promo at the end and when you left yourself in the ring.
For
DPW. That was a DPW show.
What did I wrestle?
I don't remember who you wrestled. I remember your end promo, and I remember you leaving your elbow pads in the ring.
What?
Yeah, I can't remember who you wrestled. It was DPW.
I retired at DPW? Was that the same time I did? No, I did definitely not the same time. Shit, did I just Ric Flair myself? Oh my god, I think I Ric Flair myself. Fuck.
I think you worked for Len that night.
Was that Len Sullivan?
No,
Maybe.
Or was it just Len? I'm lost by that one because
I remember the promo. I remember you leaving yourself in the ring, but I don't remember. I don't remember the match itself.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to call Shell for this one. I'm confused by that now. Because I don't remember, like, what year did I retire? Like 6 years ago, right? Yeah.
Longer.
6 or 7 years ago, I like formally retired.
Yeah, this was. I'm not sure if it was just a DPW thing or.
What the? I'm a lost. You actually pulled something else that I have no idea about.
Yeah, I can't remember. I just like I said, I can't remember really the match itself or anything, but I remember it was DPW, and I remember it was the promo. Like, I don't remember what you said, but I remember you like cutting a promo. You held your pads up like this.
I'm literally calling a friend right now. I'm literally calling a friend right now because I'm a little lost by that one.
Like, I'm not sure if that was your official retirement or just DPW.
I'm really. Listen, I took a lot of chair shots, man. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of other people were like, oh, all the drugs and all this and that. No, I just took too many chair shots. So I'm kind of like, I'm trying to think of how that What building was that at?
It might have been Naugatuck.
Was that?
Is either Naugatuck or
no way because
I remember I don't remember all the venues. I remember pretty much remember.
Give me one second. This is first. Hey. Listen, I'm doing a podcast right now, so I had to call a friend. I'm
phoning a friend.
I got Claude in the background laughing her ass off, but I'm literally calling a friend in this. Oh, Claude telling you the same thing. So my wife's in the other room telling our friend, call Jose, because he's pretty and shit. Okay, so here we go, right? The Statue of Liberty was built in 1964, right? How many pygmy midgets did it take to build it? No, I'm just no. This is a wrestling question. Do you? Because you don't like midgets. That's okay. He can't hear you, but I can put you on so he can hear you too. No. All right, listen. So the question was, do you remember me retiring at DPW? This is for $1 million. Don't fuck this up. Where I took. That's what it is. It wasn't a retirement match. It was my last DPW match.
Oh yeah, that's what I said. I wasn't sure if your official retirement.
Oh, that's what it completely. See, he told me completely fucked me all up. Remember where I worked? Was it Len? How do you not know? You would know everything about DPW. So I called. You would make a horrible person a millionaire. She's eating tacos. She's all upset now. Like her taco eating is my fucking problem. I'm just trying to find out who I worked. She's thinking. Do you have that song that goes do 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 do?
On my DJing stuff.
Yeah, because it threw me off because I know DPW and Power and Glory were like roughly around the same time frame, and then they felt it. No. I retired like 7 years ago, but that was well after when I formally retired. That was well after Mike had passed. Torrington, is that the one where they had like the big wall full of like? Is that when I tased Bobby Ocean in the nutsack? Was it that same building? Oh man, I'm lost by this one.
I think it was Len.
Claude thinks it's Len. This is probably the most weirdest podcast you're ever gonna have.
Oh, this is great. It's the first video podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Shell, I'm calling you to ask you to remind me about my memories. I have no idea. He hit me with this one. It completely threw me off. All right, so at least I know it wasn't retirement. So that was my last match at DPW. So it definitely wasn't. So that was at the dojo too, then, right? Yeah. So then the retirement thing was after Mike died? Okay.
You would have wanted to be Len.
Yeah, I can't. You had to ask this question of all. Like, it's gonna mind boggle me, right? It's complete fucking mind fuck. Because the only match I remember with Len was I had a singles with Len, and it was the infamous wall spot on the outside with Steve with a Sullivan. But that was at Dojo 1 though. Okay. Yeah, I can't remember that for the hell of a life of me. Okay, well, thanks. I didn't win $1 million though, but it was still entertaining.
What's that? That was
Okay,
the
bye.
staple spot, right? So the staple gun spot?
No, because the staple spot happened at Dojo 1.
Okay.
So that's why it's like, oh, okay, moving on.
I just messaged Len, so maybe we'll get an answer in a few minutes.
Let's get everybody on this shit.
Yeah, I just texted Len.
I don't think Len was in it. I really can't remember who I would have did that with. So she was staying in Torrington. I can't remember which one was Torrington.
Was that the one with all the windows?
I gotta remember. I really don't remember that. Anyway. I remember tasing Bobby Ocean in the nutsack. I remember that vividly because that was rather amusing. Just don't know if that was Torrington.
So what happened? What happened with that? That was just a hardcore singles match, or
what? Bobby Ocean?
Yeah, when you tased him,
that was just him in the locker room.
Oh, that was in the locker room.
That was just a rip in the locker. One of the guys had a low voltage taser in the back. It was like You remember the Mountie used to have a cattle prod?
Yeah.
So it was like something like that. So we just walking around and playing around, and Bobby Ocean was on his phone. I've known Bobby for years. He's gonna hate that I tell the story. Bobby Ocean was taking a phone call. He was getting ready to walk out, and they were like, "Oh, get Bobby, get Bobby, get Bobby." So I ran up on Bobby to tase him in his ass.
Yep.
And when I tased him in his ass, he jumped. So the taser went underneath and caught him in the scrotum. And I never heard a man screech like a girl before like that. It was hysterical. So, what's Samoan do? She's just stuck on this too. This is gonna fucking bug me. This is why I don't do podcasts. Because they make me think of shit and my head hurts. I'm gonna need fucking Advils and aspirins afterwards. Jesus.
My girlfriend actually got to tase Len a couple years ago.
Yeah, but see, he does that shit for fun.
Yeah.
What is she saying?
She's like, Len, who freaking Jose concussed 53 times. That's gonna help.
Yeah, right. I think I knocked Len out 120 times. Yeah, that one's gonna. After this, I'm really gonna start thinking about that because I'm gonna be stuck on that one. Let's move on.
Yeah. So moving on. So after all this, after your career, because we can talk all day about your career. So how did you get involved with XWA?
So XWA was more because I was wrestling at the time. I've been involved. I don't know with XWA for about to date about 15 years. But it was just I started just like any other worker. They just stayed on as a worker. A lot of people that know me know that I have a tendency of being more than just a worker when it comes to shows. I tend to want to go to shows, and I'm that guy that the entrance doesn't look right. I want to try to fix the entrance because I want it to look good, and if something doesn't look right, it's just that's always been my nature is either fixing the ring if it's not right or whatever. I was always that guy to try to see if I could fix something, and then with XWA it's just something I just stayed on, and Mike Antunes and the owner and myself just became good friends after that, and I just stayed on with that, and we just went on, and then he decided one day, he's like, I'm gonna get a building and we're gonna do this. And it was at a time where I had recently was in between jobs. So I had time off, I had nothing to do, and it was a perfect time. So it was like he got the building. It was great because I call it my building, but it's not my building, it's his. Yeah. But it was like I was able to do what I had to do and he paid for it. So it was a great setup. great setup. But yeah, no, we've Mike's the owner of the booker. I have my feet in when it comes to things and stories and my input. Basically for our bigger shows, I just pretty much take over the production aspect of it. I make sure that the ring is where it needs to be, set up correctly, lighting, sound. I have my group of guys that we do for that type of stuff. So I just kind of take that general stuff up. Even more so now when I stopped wrestling, I just kind of influxed myself in that position. So I was like, the first guy there, last guy to leave. That's kind of how it's always been.
And now for people who don't know much about it, now does XWA, do they also have a school or is it just shows?
Yeah, XWA has a school out of our building in West Rhode Island. It's I believe it's still called the Wrestling Kingdom. Originally was the head trainer there originally was Matt Taven. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. The original head trainer was Mike Bennett. And then Mike Bennett got signed. He was doing it with Matt Taven. Matt Taven took over the role. Bennett would come in sporadically when his schedule was,
Allowed it.
gave him the opportunity. So he would come down and still do his things. But it basically turned into the Kingdom, where it was Matt Taven, Vinny Marcellier, and TQ Ryan would be down. Later on, Ryan Drew from Top Rope Promotions would come down sporadically, would help out also on given nights. And then we'd have an array of different seminars. I mean, we've done seminars with Zack Sabre Jr., Ricky Steamboat, just anytime we have our big shows, we normally would have some kind of seminar with somebody at our shows. And we had Jeff Jarrett, so.
And with XW also, how did the deal with Fight TV come about?
Fight TV was just, again, it was just a situation where he felt we were at that level where we wanted to do something more. And it's like he reached out to Fight TV, find out what's going to cost to do. And he just, when it comes to the behind the scenes aspect of that stuff, I never really got too involved because it really wasn't my place. I wasn't the one flipping the bill. So as long as it was getting done, I didn't say shit. It was one of those type of things. I just knew that when we were going to do something like that, I knew the bar, we were raising that bar a little bit higher. So that just amped me up to do more on the production side and situate things a certain way, make sure cameras where they need to be, talent need to be where they need to be, timings, things of that nature need to be. So that changed. But Fight TV came up, it was just a progression of either Fight TV or IWTV in that area. But we ended up going with Fight because I think it was a better fit.
And where can people find you or XWA that want to either start training or just want to follow as a fan?
Well, to find me, you would have to know me, and to know me would know you're not finding me at home. I don't tell nobody where I live. Get stalkers that way, and I'm not happening that. But we are located at 3 Bridal Ave in West Warwick, Rhode Island. The best way, if anybody's interested in finding out more information regarding the school, shows, anything like that, just reach out to the official XWA at gmail.com. And that's the best way to contact it. Or you can show up on a Thursday night. We're there Thursday nights, 7 o'clock, 7:30 until whenever. We do our Thursday night throwdowns. And again, now that COVID is opening up, we're producing a little more shows. We have our big show coming up on July 24th with a gentleman right behind you on the wall there. Will be present for that, Kurt Angle, along with Michael Gary Capetta will be there for that. And I know he's got a bunch of other things planned because he just never does anything small. So we'll have to see what else comes up with that. But I mean, we've had an array of talent from Rey Mysterio to RVD. Our bigger shows are bigger shows. They're considered legendary in some aspects.
Yeah, I gotta get down some night. I haven't. I've seen the social media, but I haven't. I might hitch a ride with my partner in the bike club, Stevie Legend, one night.
Stevie Legend. Stevie Legend. I can talk a lot about Stevie Legend. Stevie Legend's a good kid. Still needs a lot to learn, but he's a good kid. He wants to learn. Though I'll give him a lot of credit. He wrestled this past Thursday night. He just wrestled. It showed me a lot better because I've been trying to. So Thursday nights, basically what we do Thursday night outside of shows is I try to help elevate the guys a little more. We could let them try to do things they're not normally used to doing, or help them character-wise, entrance-wise, something of that nature, along with the other guys that have been doing it for a while. It's an opportunity to grow and learn. Stevie's now trying to learn more. I think he's been in a situation where nobody's really kind of told him, like, you need to do this. And with me, it's like, you need to do this, or I'm going to run in the ring and do this to you.
Yeah.
I think he's starting to comprehend that and whatnot. So last night, on Thursday night, was definitely the first time I've seen him do something that really made the crowd want to gravitate to him, because they want to like him. They're just not sure if they want to like him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think last night kind of was a very small, turn for him in the direction he should try to go. So
Yeah,
hopefully it works.
Yeah, I was just talking to Seven. We're thinking about trying to get out of work early on a couple Thursdays and come down with them.
Yeah, definitely come down. Like I said, whereabouts are you?
We're in Connecticut. We're so I'm in more towards Hartford.
Okay.
So it's about because I used to wrestle in Rhode Island, so I'm trying to remember where they were.
Hartford was about an hour and a half.
Yeah, because Stevie lives more towards the Massachusetts border.
Yeah, because I know when I used to go to Waterbury for DPW, it took me, I don't know, like 30 hours because there's like 600 different goddamn highways. I hate wrestling in Connecticut. But no, going to Doja. Doja used to take me about 2.5 hours to get to.
I'm closer than, like, Waterbury is actually another, because I used to live in Waterbury. Waterbury is another half an hour from where I am now.
Yeah, I hated driving to Waterbury, bro.
Well, try living there. I'm glad.
Waterbury is the Worcester of Connecticut.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what that is.
Oh yeah, I've been to Worcester. I DJ'd at Rock and Shock back in 2015. So I was there all day. We sound check was at noon, and we were there till about maybe 2 in the morning.
Oh yeah. No, I know the feeling. When we used to do when we do our big shows, I'd be there. Sometimes we would have a night, we can get in the night before to do setup, which is great. Less stress, but I'd be there doing what we have to do until we're done. And then the next day, it's wake up, I spend time at home with my wife for one night, and we do it, and then I would take off the show. I'd be there until when we were done, and I'd be leaving there, and then 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, I have to clean, make sure everything's cleaned up and whatnot. And it was great because then we get a building, and then we could do our own stuff, and it's not on a bigger scale like those. But it's literally turnkey, and I still find myself coming home at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't understand how that works. I have no tear down, no nothing. I can literally leave the building, a disaster, close the door, and come back in there to clean everything. But I'm still coming home at like 1:30 in the morning.
The first, when Seven came back to wrestling, me and him, it was me versus him, and we did a hardcore match, and we couldn't. Now we're like both mostly. I mean, more me than him is off weekends now. But we were working both on Saturdays. The show was supposed to be on a Saturday, and we were doing it at this bar like 5 minutes from our houses. The bar, like maybe 2 days before, double booked, so they switched us to Friday night.
Ugh.
So we worked the main event, and then we had to do all the cleanup. And so by the time we were done, it was about 3 in the morning, and we both were working the same shift at 6 o'clock in the morning the next day. Yeah. Just me and him opening the store.
Yeah, it's horrifying. Trust me.
But
I've done that. Been there, done that.
So as we wind down, before I let you go, do you? Because I know nothing probably top the Bobby Ocean one, but do you have more like a funny rib or a funny story that you can leave us with?
Oh, dude. Oh. There are just so many. Not necessarily ribs, because a lot of times you do the ribs that you laugh so hard that you tend to forget about them afterwards. But I'll leave you with a story that I think about a lot when I think of funny situations in the business. I was at a show. So at one point I was running a promotion called Primal Conflict. So this was late 99, 2000, in that area. I was doing the booking there for them, and we had a cast of characters coming for the show. For those that know me, I was friends with a lot of guys from ECW. So I was at a show in Worcester that night, the night before our event, and I get a phone call. I get a message on my phone, and I listen to messages. It's like, listen, I'm at the fucking airport. There's no fucking airline ticket for me. I'm buying my own ticket. I'm getting there. Somebody better have my fucking money. If not, I'm gonna start. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? So we had Sandman on the show, and that was Sandman, James Fullington. So when he went, his name wasn't on. The name was spelled wrong, so he couldn't find his name for his ticket. So I'm in Worcester, now I'm flying all the way to Boston to go pick this knucklehead up. It's in the middle of a snowstorm. It just snowed. It was middle of January, snowed like crazy. Get all the way down there, and I'm like, I pick him up, and here he comes walking down, walking down there. He's got his kendo stick and all this stuff. Gets in the car, and he sees me. He's like, I'm expecting the worst because he's got this phone call.
Yeah.
I pick him up. He's like, hey, brother, hey, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm sorry. Yes, the names are messed up. It's all good. I'm good. We're okay. I'm like, thank God. Put him in the car. It's me and my wife. Put him in the back seat. Keep in mind, it's snowing like crazy. You get in the back. So we drive in the car, and we pull over. We're getting on the highway. We're driving slow. There's snow on the ground, and there's a taxi in front of us driving like 2 miles an hour. And he's in the truck. He's in the back going, you motherfucking move that fucking car. Trying to get the fuck out. I'm like, oh my God, can you just stop? Just stop. And then all of a sudden this taxi cab pulls over in the middle of the highway. There is a car spun out. So the taxi cab driver gets out. I'm assuming to see if anybody's hurt. There's nobody in this car. He gets out and starts rummaging through this guy's car. Sam is now hanging out my window. And he's like, move the fucking car. Move the fucking car. I'm like, yo, James, you need to calm down, man. Chill. Fuck that. I'm going to fucking kill this guy. Let's move this fucking car. The dude turns around. The taxi cab driver turns around, sees us, flips him off, and gets in his car. And James is like, that's it. Fuck him. He gets out my car and proceeds to run down the fucking highway. Get back in this fucking car. I'm telling this dude. Oh, my God. He gets back in his car. He opens up he's got like a, what I thought was a thermos. He grabs his thought, he was like, fucking, takes this big swig of one nut, and it goes dead silent. Dead silent. I'm like, did he just have like an embolism? Like, I thought he died. No, he took his swig one night. I was like, all right, man, we're good. We're good. And I'm like, and he was quiet for the whole ride back to Rhode Island. So I drop him at the motel. He's like, oh, you want to hang out? Want to have some drinks and whatnot? Yada, yada. I'm like, no. Absolutely not. You go to sleep. I will pick you up in the morning for breakfast or in the afternoon, whatever because but you go to sleep. I am not doing this. At this point, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Give or take. I'm like, it's no fucking way. But I remember that thing vividly because he gets to the building that day and he's like, nothing ever happened. It's like nothing ever happened. There's nothing about the taxi cab driver, nothing. It was the most bizarrest thing, bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. But that's one of the ones that always stick on my head when it comes to weird memories and things of that nature. When it comes to ribs, it was Bobby Ocean because that's the one that gets me the most. Is that because he squealed like a girl, like straight squealed like a girl. And Bobby Ocean's got the big, big deep voice and whatnot. And he was, it was great. It was hysterical. But that's my life in a nutshell, man.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming on the podcast. We'll definitely have to do it again sometime when we have a little bit more time.
Most definitely. Preferably not on Skype because fucking Skype sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the first ever time I had an issue.
Oh my God. Unbelievable. Man, thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of your time. Be safe, be happy, enjoy yourself. Do what you gotta do in life, man, but just be safe.
All right, thank you. And this has been Cory Adams from the Mr. Ray and Cory Show. Thank you to Jose, and we'll see you next time. Later.